Mars in your partner's 8th house in Synastry is a powerful and often challenging placement that can bring both immense passion and profound transformation. Let's break down its potential karmic implications, differences, and behavioral manifestations. Mars in partner's 8th house Synastry, karmic analysis. The 8th house is traditionally associated with themes of transformation, shared resources, intimacy, sex, death, rebirth, hidden matters, and karmic lessons. Mars, the planet of action, desire, aggression, and energy, activating this house in a partner's chart brings a deep karmic resonance. Intense soul connection. This placement often suggests a past life connection where issues of power, control, shared resources, or intense intimacy were prominent. There's a feeling of magnetic attraction and familiarity, as if your souls recognize each other on a profound level. Transformative catalyst. The Mars person's energy, Mars, will powerfully impact the 8th house person's areas of transformation. This can bring up hidden fears, insecurities, and past traumas for the 8th house person, forcing them to confront and integrate these aspects. The Mars person can act as a catalyst for deep psychological and emotional clearing. Shared karma around power and control. There might be karmic patterns around power dynamics, control, and vulnerability. In a past life, one person might have dominated the other, or there could have been unresolved issues related to shared finances, inheritance, or even betrayal. This lifetime offers an opportunity to balance these dynamics. Lessons in intimacy and trust. The 8th house rules deep intimacy and trust. The Mars person's drive can push the 8th house person to open up and be vulnerable in ways they might resist. The karmic lesson here often revolves around learning to trust, surrender, and merge authentically without fear of loss or being controlled. Confronting shadow aspects. Both individuals may be forced to confront their shadow selves and hidden desires. The intensity of this connection can bring to light subconscious patterns and unresolved emotional baggage, presenting an opportunity for profound healing and growth. Differences and behaviors. The manifestation of Mars in the 8th house Synastry can vary depending on the signs involved, other aspects, and the individual's overall maturity and awareness. However, some common themes emerge. For the Mars person, whose Mars is in the partner's 8th house. Magnetic attraction and obsession. The Mars person often feels an intense, almost obsessive pull towards the 8th house person. They are deeply fascinated by their partner's inner world, secrets, and vulnerabilities. Desire for deep intimacy. Their desire for connection goes beyond the superficial. They want to penetrate the depths of the 8th house person's being, exploring their hidden desires, fears, and psychological complexities. Assertive in intimacy and shared matters. The Mars person's energy will be directed towards the 8th house person's areas of shared resources, intimacy, and transformation. This can manifest as being very proactive in sexual expression, or taking the lead in managing joint finances or exploring deep psychological topics. Can be controlling or dominant. There's a potential for the Mars person to be overly assertive, possessive, or even controlling in the 8th house person's life, especially around shared resources or intimate matters. This can stem from a strong need for security or a desire to fix or transform their partner. Unearthing secrets. The Mars person may instinctively uncover the 8th house person's hidden aspects, secrets, or vulnerabilities, sometimes even unintentionally. For the 8th house person, whose 8th house contains the partner's Mars. Feeling exposed and vulnerable. The 8th house person can feel intensely seen and exposed by the Mars person. Their deepest fears, desires, and even insecurities may be brought to the surface by the Mars person's directness or actions. Catalyst for change, voluntary or involuntary. The Mars person's energy can be a powerful force for change in the 8th house person's life, especially concerning shared resources, intimacy, and personal transformation. This change can be empowering or, if resisted, feel disruptive. Deep sexual connection and potential conflict. There's often a strong sexual attraction and dynamic. The Mars person's sexual drive resonates deeply with the 8th house person's desire for intense, transformative intimacy. However, differences in sexual expression or expectations can also lead to power struggles in this area. Trust issues and boundaries. The 8th house person may struggle with trust, especially if they have past wounds related to betrayal or manipulation. They may feel a push-pull dynamic, craving the intensity but also fearing the vulnerability that the Mars person brings. Establishing clear boundaries is crucial. Feeling provoked or challenged. The Mars person's actions or desires can provoke strong reactions in the 8th house person, challenging their comfort zones and pushing them to confront uncomfortable truths. This can lead to arguments or power struggles, particularly around control or sharing. Potential challenges and how to navigate them. Power struggles. This is a key theme. Both partners need to be aware of tendencies towards control, manipulation, or dominance. Open communication and a willingness to compromise are essential. Emotional intensity. The connection is rarely superficial. It delves into deep emotions, which can be overwhelming at times. Learning healthy ways to process and communicate these intense feelings is vital. Trust and vulnerability. Building trust is paramount. The 8th house person needs to feel safe enough to be vulnerable, and the Mars person needs to be mindful of not pushing too hard or exploiting that vulnerability. Shared resources. Discussions and agreements about shared finances, debts, or assets can be highly charged. Honesty and fairness are key to avoiding conflict. Sexual dynamics. While often passionate, differences in sexual needs or desires can lead to frustration if not openly discussed and respected. Destructive potential. If not handled consciously, the intensity can devolve into resentment, conflict, or even unhealthy obsessive behaviors. In summary, Mars in the partner's 8th house synastry is a powerful aspect that promises a deeply transformative and intense connection. It points to karmic lessons around power, control, trust, and intimacy, pushing both individuals to confront their deepest fears and desires. While challenging, the potential for profound growth, healing, and an unparalleled bond is significant if approached with awareness, communication, and a willingness to navigate the depths. If this video helps, please remember to subscribe, like, and share. Thanks for your support, Synastry Venus.